Hey guys, welcome to this new episode of the Watch Lover channel. My name is Chris Estalayo. If you didn't do it yet, please hit the subscribe button down below. I would greatly appreciate that. Alright, so this video is all about vintage. Everything that has to do with old style, old things, things we're going back to, and things that we used to love and that we still love today. So let's get right into it. So for this video, I have prepared a bunch of items that I still use on an everyday, regular basis. These are items that are very important to me. These are items that prove to be successful and to work successfully, for me at least. Maybe it's the same for you guys. And I would like to show those to you, and I will show you what's the relationship with the watches, since this is a watch channel. All right, so to start with, we'll have this razor. Okay, so this is a Shaveology razor that I bought in the US a couple years ago. I use this safety blade razor on a daily basis. This is the Go4 razor that I use. I don't use your regular Gillette and other such brands. This is something that used to be used back in, well, my grandpa used to have this, so that's like a 50s item. It works absolutely perfectly. So we've been evolving to having up to 17 blades or some astronomical figure like that. And I like to have my one blade that works just great. This is, or could be considered, a vintage sort of item, because that's kind of what it is. All right, then we have, I'm a fountain pen lover. So this is a fountain pen that was made in Russia. There you go. With its box right here. Beautiful wooden box. I have the ink right here, and this is something I use to write letters. Well, not only this one, because I'm a big fan, so I have a lot of fountain pens, but I still use this to write letters. Why? Because it's more professional. Since I live in Switzerland, in school we're used to use fountain pen. We have to use fountain pens because it's mandatory. So I kept a good tradition, and there you go. So yet another, I would call it vintage item, because this fountain pen particularly is something that used to be made in the 50s and 60s, made of wood. Now another one, Italians, excuse me, I've lived in Italy for 7 years. I know this might seem a little bit weird to call this a vintage item, but we have what's called a mocha right here. And this is what I make my coffee with every single morning. So you have all the espressos, you have the one-click coffee, everything machines. For me, personally, once again, this is the one that makes the best coffee out of all. You get a great Lavazza coffee grain, and off you go. So yet another item that could be called retro, or could be called vintage, and I love it, and that's my everyday coffee machine for me and my wife. All right, then we have this iron. Okay, maybe this is a little bit too vintage. Yeah, let's not get into the iron. Okay, cool. Now seriously. All right, so I'm also a professional photographer. For those that didn't know, I have my separate channel on photography. So here we have a Leica. This is my Leica M240. So this is not really a vintage item. Okay, as you can see, there's a digital screen in the back. Now this is what is called a rangefinder camera, so you do manual changes on the focus, and you still use the little window over here. So in a certain way it could be called vintage. Even the shape of it is like the basic camera shape, you know. I just love it. It's not a cheap item. I hold on to this camera. This is probably going to go to my kids when they grow up, and it's actually a wonderful camera that takes beautiful pictures, like film-like, you know. Yet another retro-looking type of camera, which belongs to the vintage type of items. There you go. Still in the cameras, don't move. Here I have my Instax. That's my Mini 90. This is another way of going back to retro things, because, well, this is a Polaroid type of camera, so you still have the little film coming out, and, you know, instantaneously, and this is extremely fun for, you know, parties, for family moments, and all these sort of things. I really enjoy using this camera. Once again, I almost enjoy using this more than using my digital cameras. my professional digital cameras, or either this or my Leica that's on film. It's just so much more rewarding than using the actual modern technology, the 65,000 megapixels. That's yet another item that, for me, even though it's a new one or it's recent, fits in the vintage style or retro looking type of camera. So there you go. So now I came all the way here and presented you with all my everyday life retro vintage items that I love using. And all this was to tell you why I like vintage and retro type of items. That includes this Longines automatic watch from 1967. I bought this one recently. Beautiful, gorgeous system, ticks 10 times per second. I made another video, but this watch is actually very, very stylish. Small, 35 millimeters diameter, so it sits very nicely on my wrist. It's nice for dressing occasions and this sort of thing. But once again, I would rather take this than a modern watch. Obviously, if we're talking some high brands, like Patek Philippe or even Rolex or Omega, they still do quite some beautiful timepieces nowadays, obviously. But still, there's something about retro. It has a story. Why I love it so much is because every single scratch you find on this sort of watch tells you something about the previous owner or yourself. If you wore this during a wedding, if you had this when your kid got his first, I don't know, he did something important, or when you achieved something. This is something that will testify in the next 30, 40, 50 years from now, and it will actually reward you with those memories. I mean, in my watch collection, I have several types of watches, but I will miss not having vintage, older storytelling timepieces. All right, guys, so let me know what you think. Write comments below. I'm super interested to know what your views are on vintage. Do you see it the same way that I do? Do you see it differently? I'm actually very open to any suggestions or any comments and viewpoints because everyone is different. So don't hesitate to put comments down below. Once again, subscribe. That helps me a lot with my new channel, and I hope to see you soon for the next videos. Take care. Bye-bye.